Hello my dear students and welcome back to Excellence Batch, and I am your Diksha ma'am, and here we have studied some of the theories of evolution. It's time that we should move forward and see how the evolution of vertebrate, plants and human took place. So let's get started with the vertebrates first. If I talk about vertebrates, so what we have in vertebrates, we have all those organisms which have basically the notochord, and later on it gets replaced by the vertebral column. These organisms, they are vertebrates. So how did the vertebrates evolution took place? If you remember the animal kingdom, in animal kingdom the sequence comes is first there are fishes, then amphibians, then we always study reptiles, and then we study aves and mammals. So this is the sequence how you study vertebrates in the animal kingdom. So the sequence of the vertebrates in the animal kingdom shows their evolution also. So if I have kept in this sequence, I'll say that the fish is the, out of all these, fish is the least developed, or we can say this is the one which has undergone less evolution as comparison to the mammals, right? So how did they explain about the evolution? They say that around 500 million years ago invertebrates were formed and they were active. There were a lot of invertebrates. After invertebrates comes the evolution of the vertebrates. Vertebrates, they were formed, right? So the first vertebrate to be formed was like jawless fishes. They were agnathas, around 350 million years ago. Agnathas were formed. After that, the jaw fishes were formed, and they say that around 350 million years ago, the fishes that were present, they were lobed fishes. They were lobed fin fishes. They have the fin like this, the lobed fin. Like we have discussed in a stegogenesis, the low fin fishes are those which has not undergone any evolution since time immemorial, and these fishes have been seen in 1938 in the waters of South Africa, and these are known as coelacanth. What are they known as? Coelacanth. It is assumed that these fishes, they came out of water and they gave rise to amphibians. So from fishes arrive amphibians, right? Around 320 million years ago, side by side the evolution of plants was taking place. Seaweeds and few plants, they were developed. Now what happened after the amphibians were formed? So from low fin fishes, the amphibian formed. Low fin fishes were stout fishes. Stout fin fishes, that means they had a very strong fins and they can come out of the water and they can also go back to the water, right? After amphibians arrived the reptiles. Amphibian, they evolve into reptiles. So reptiles, some of the reptiles, usually you have heard that they are land animals. Some, they move back to water. They didn't like the land habitat, so they move back to water. So that's why you see a lot of reptiles, they live happily in the water as well. Okay, now it was said that there was a common reptilian ancestor, and that common reptilian ancestor gave rise to all the reptiles, aves, dinosaurs as well as mammals. So yes, so we have a common ancestor with the reptiles. Now let's see how. If you have seen this chart in the NCERT, so it starts from here. We all had one common early reptile ancestor, which is no more available, it's extinct. It arrived around 350 million years ago in the Carboniferous. Right? From this common ancestor arrived two ancestors. One are the Sauropsid, another are Synapsid. Synapsid moved towards the evolution of mammals. Sauropsid moved towards the evolution of the reptiles, dinosaur and aves. These sauropsid, sauro word is always used for lizards, right? And dinosaurs, SAURS, they are giant lizard. So sauropsid, they gave rise to the today's reptiles, like they gave rise to turtles, they gave rise to lizard. So what does it mean? It signifies that the sauropsid, they arrive around Permian, right? In the Permian. In Permian, sauropsid arrive and they gave rise to turtles, which are also present nowadays. So that's why you can see the entire line is going, crossing over all these periods and moving to upside in the today's one, quaternary. Okay. Then sauropsid also gave rise to lizard, and from here comes down the ancestors of snakes, right? In which time period? In between Jurassic and Triassic. All right. Then from here arrives the tuatara. Tuatara is a sphenodon. It is present, or it is found in the New Zealand, right? All right. And so from here arrives another ancestor known as thecodonts. Thecodont is a dentition which is also seen in us. That means the tooth are embedded in the socket. So now arrives those reptiles which also have thecodont dentition, and from here we have crocodiles. So it signifies that crocodile also have thecodont dentition. Now from the crocodile, there are two organisms. They are, or we can say from the common thecodont ancestor, two type of organisms are originating. One is crocodile, another is a dinosaur. Now you can see dinosaur has finished up here because in the Carboniferous, the entire dinosaur, they vanished around 65 million years ago, right? So in Carboniferous, their extinction start, but in the Tertiary around 65 million years ago, they completely vanished, right? So that's why you cannot see the picture of the dinosaur here. Now from here, dinosaur arrives aves. It is said that some dinosaurs were flying type. They used to fly. So from their ancestors arise the aves ancestor, and with the, or we can say along with the dinosaurs evolution, and another evolution was going on. That was the evolution of aves, birds. Now you can see here synapsid, who have separated themselves early in the ancestry from the early reptile ancestors. They gave rise to another ancestor known as pelycosaurs. Pelycosaurs gave rise to therapsid, and therapsid, they form all the mammals which are present nowadays. And the first mammals, they were shrew-like a mouse. They used to hide in the holes so that the dinosaurs which are present at that time, they could not kill them, right? So this was the entire ancestry and evolution of the vertebrates, right? So let me just cut it short. First of all, fishes, they gave rise to amphibians. The fish which was lobfin, stoutfin fishes, they come on land and they become amphibian. Amphibian gave rise to reptiles. Some reptiles love to live on land, some in water. Now in reptiles, we had a common ancestor, and that ancestor gave rise to two further ancestors, the sauropsid and synapsid. Sauropsid gave rise to all other reptiles. Synapsid gave rise to mammals. Synapsid formed pelycosaur, pelycosaur formed therapsid, therapsid formed mammals. Whereas sauropsid gave rise to turtle, lizard, snake, tuatara, and then to the thecodonts. Thecodont gave rise to crocodile, dinosaur, and aves. Fine. So this is the evolution of the reptiles. Now let's see how thecodont gave rise to three types of organism and what are the various types of dinosaurs present. Okay, you can see this one. So here we have a common thecodont ancestor. Yes, we have a common thecodont ancestor. This thecodont ancestor, as I've told you, gave rise to three things. One, the crocodile, you can see here. Another, aves. Archaeopteryx is the connecting link between the birds and reptiles, but you keep it under the class of the birds. Okay, then the dinosaur. There are different types of dinosaur. Let's get started. First of all, we have Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus is the one which have these plates on the back, right? Then we have Brachiosaurus. Brachiosaurus is the one which is herbivorous, does not eat any animals, just plants, and it has a very long neck. The neck is so long, if the dinosaur is on the ground floor, it can say hello to you if you're sitting on the second floor of a building, right? Now, then we have Triceratops. Tri means three. It has three horns on its head. Then we have Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus, in short form, it is also known as T-Rex, and it has shorter forelimbs. Hind limbs are longer, but forelimbs, they are shorter, and it has very Shark teeth which are dagger-like teeth. So this is the tyrannical. Tyrannical means something that you need to afraid of, right? So that's why it got its name Tyrannosaurus, because it has dagger-like teeth and it kills the organisms a lot. And then we have Pteranodon. Pteranodon is the flying dinosaur. Is the flying dinosaur, right? So this is how the entire dinosaurs, they arrive from the reptile, the common reptilian ancestor, which is the Thecodont. So from Thecodont you have made, or the nature have made, the crocodiles, the birds and the dinosaurs. Okay, all right, moving further, let's talk about the evolution of plants now. We have done the evolution of animals. Why to miss the plants? Because evolution has took place in those organisms also. Okay, so we'll start with the plant evolution. In the plant evolution, the first ancestor that was here was chlorophyte ancestor. This ancestor was blue-green algae-like. How it was? Blue-green algae-like, right? So this chlorophyte ancestor, because it has chlorophyll, that's why you call it as chlorophyte. Okay, so chlorophyte ancestor gave rise to one ancestor known as tracheophyte, and also from chlorophyte ancestor arise the different organism or different plant which evolved in Carboniferous. So wherever this is expanding, that means that particular plant or organism is evolving, right? Listen to me very carefully. Chlorophyte ancestor gave rise to tracheophyte and one more plant which get evolved in Carboniferous, and the name is known as bryophyte. So from the chlorophyte arise bryophytes which get evolved in the Carboniferous, and further chlorophyte gave rise to tracheophyte ancestors. Tracheophyte gave rise to Rhynia type plants and also to Zostaurophyllum. This Zostaurophyllum in Silurian, it gets evolved, and in Permian it forms arborescent lycopod and the herbaceous lycopod. Arborescent lycopods, as you can see in Permian, they got extinct here, right? Whereas herbaceous lycopod are also present nowadays. So here come the tracheophyte ancestor gave rise to Rhynia like plants and also to Zostaurophyllum in the Silurian. Now it gets expand, that means it gets evolved into two type of lycopod, the arborescent which gets extinct in the Permian and the herbaceous which are present now also. Then Rhynia gave rise to Psilophyton, and Psilophyton gave rise to first of all sphenopsids, ferns, gingos, conifers, nettles. Some of them you can see these are gymnosperms, right? And also to progymnosperm. Progymnosperm in which time period? In Devonian. Now progymnosperm in the Carboniferous, it gave rise to seed ferns. Seed fern then gave rise to cycads and then to dicot. Dicot gave rise to monocot. So that's why in botany you say monocots are more advanced, because first dicot came and then came the monocots. So that means monocots are more evolved than the dicot. Dicot came in tertiary and monocot they came in quaternary, right? Or sorry, dicot they came in Cretaceous and monocot they came in tertiary. In quaternary you can see them all. Fine. So this is how the evolution of plant took place. Very simple. Chlorophyte ancestor gave rise to bryophytes in Carboniferous and tracheophyte. Tracheophyte in Silurian gave rise to Zostaurophyllum. Then they gave rise to two type of lycopod. Arborescent remains only up to Permian. Herbaceous are present right now. Rhynia gave rise to Psilophyton, gave rise to sphenopsid ferns, ginkgo, cycads, conifers, nettles. And then Psilophyton gave rise to progymnosperm, which then formed seed fern. Seed from seed fern, because seeds are evolved now, right? The cycads and dicots and monocots were formed. That's the plant evolution. Now the question is, ma'am, what kind of question can be asked? First of all, the first type of question that can be asked from vertebrate is, they can ask you the ancestors. Like early reptile ancestor gave rise to synapsid. Okay, so they will ask you the ancestry of mammals. Then what will you say? Early reptile ancestor gave rise to synapsid. Synapsid gave rise to pelycosaurs. And pelycosaurs gave rise to therapsid. And they all are extinct. You cannot see now. And further they gave rise to mammals. One type of a question can this one. Now, another question, which ancestor gave rise to dinosaur, apes and crocodile? Thecodont. Fine. Similar type of question can be asked here. You have to tell the ancestry in a sequence form. So, which one comes first from the original ones, right? And then later on they can ask you that Rhynia gave rise to what or chlorophyte gave rise to what. So, such kind of questions can be asked. And second type, which one gets evolved when? Like I told you, bryophyte get evolved in Carboniferous. Okay, so Sterophyllum in Silurian. You have to find the prominent ones. Silophyton gave rise to all of these in Devonian. Okay, because the Silophyton was was so devotee that it gave rise to everything in Devonian. Okay, including the progymnosperm. All right, so that's about your plant evolution. Let's move further and talk about our evolution, and that is human evolution. All right, let's talk about the human evolution now. So, obviously, if you are talking about evolution of a lot of animals, you must be curious about yours also, okay? If you are talking about the evolution of many organisms, why not to think about ours? You should be curious about ours first of all. From where did we come? That's the only thing that have put a lot of questions in our mind, that from where do we come, from where do we belong. So are we from different planet, or we were from earth only initially, and everything. So let's talk about our evolution, that's human evolution. First of all, the human evolution study was based on some factual data. On the factual data, the first factual data was the comparison between chimpanzee and human. We say that our immediate ancestors were ape-like. They were like chimpanzees. Yes, you must have heard. Earlier you hear that, oh, we came from monkey. Monkeys, they were not our nearest ancestors. We had the common ancestors far, far away. Monkeys, they move out from our ancestry line very, years back. So the immediate ancestors which matches with nowadays animal of human is the chimpanzee. Okay, the immediate ancestor that matches with any animal is the chimpanzee. Okay, so first study is on the basis of the skull. If you'll see the skull of the adult man, this is the skull of adult man, skull of baby chimpanzee. I'm writing chimp, okay? You understand? So this is the skull of adult chimp. So what do you think? Which skulls matches the most? These two. These two matches the most. So the first observation they made for the human evolution, why we have pointed out that we belongs to, or our ancestors were chimpanzee or ape-like. The first is the skull of the baby chimpanzee and skull of adult man, it matches. So somewhere there must be a relationship. Second, the chromosome number 3 and chromosome number 6. The chromosome number 3 and 6 of human and apes are similar. You will see similar banding patterns in both the chromosomes. So somewhere if the banding pattern is same, that means somewhere we have a similarity. Another, the hemoglobin and blood groups are present both in apes and humans. So their sequencing was also done, amino acid sequencing was also done, and it was also nearly same. Not exactly, but nearly. Then we also did some study on Y chromosome and mitochondrial chromosome. So on the basis of these studies and obviously the fossil evidences, we came up with the evolution of human. So ma'am, what about this Y chromosome and mitochondrial chromosome? You must have studied in genetics that Y chromosome and mitochondrial chromosome, they show direct inheritance. For example, the Y chromosome is always in the father, not in the mother. And if a baby boy is born, baby boy will get the entire Y chromosome from the father as it is. There will not be any crossing over. There will not be any changes. There will not be any genetic recombinations. So that means the Y chromosome is always inherited from father to the sons direct in the evolution, and this one will show the least changes down the evolutionary line. So that's why Y chromosome is studied. For example, if there is a son, now someone's son is there, right? If I check the Y chromosome of that particular boy, then that Y chromosome might be similar to the great grandfathers of that particular person. Okay. Similarly, mitochondrial inheritance. The cytoplasm of egg is the one that is present in the zygote. During fertilization, sperm does not contribute in the cytoplasm. And in cytoplasm, we have mitochondria, and mitochondria have the DNA. Fine. So that DNA also does not go any genetic recombination. So it also get inherited from mother to the progeny directly. Right. So this inheritance is also the direct inheritance. So in short, I'll say in direct inheritance, the chances of the changes in the chromosome is very less, or the changes in the DNA is very less. So we can study it. So if it matches with ape, if I took the Y chromosome of ape and Y chromosome of the human, if it matches, that means down the line in evolution, this might not have been changed. That means we have done, or we have emerged out from them. Okay, so let's talk about the human evolution in more details. So whatsoever human evolution we studied on the basis of the exact fossil evidences we have. Okay, that's why I have told you fossil evidences are the most reliable evidence nowadays. Okay, so the oldest fossil that we have found since now is of Dryopithecus. Okay, right now we are doing the sum up of this, then we'll do everything in detail. All right. So the first fossil that we found was our early ancestor, which was Dryopithecus, and it is said that they were present on Earth around 15 to 20 million years ago in Miocene. Right. Then they gave rise to Ramapithecus, Sivapithecus and Keniapithecus. Keniapithecus was found in the Africa. Even Dryopithecus was also found in the Africa. Rama and Sivapithecus, they were found in India, Shivalik Hills in India. Ramapithecus was on a direct ancestral line to human evolution and gave rise to Australopithecus. So these two fossils or ancestors which we have found, we keep them in the category of prior to ape man, because after then arises the ape man. This was a man which looked like ape. So they were prior to ape man. And this one is the true man. So we have distributed the entire human revolution into 3 stages: prior to ape man, and true man. Okay. So Ramapithecus was on a direct ancestral line on the human evolution. So it is supposed that they also were present around 15 million years ago in Pliocene. Right. Now after that, from Ramapithecus comes the Australopithecus, which were present on Earth around 3 to 4 million years ago. Now you must be thinking, ma'am, there is quite a gap between these two. So that was a black period in human evolution. Nothing happened at that time. Okay, so evolution is not always it will happen. It's for sure it will happen. Sometimes it stops also, because evolution always occur whenever you have appropriate condition or inappropriate condition to put that force for the change. Okay, then Australopithecus gave rise to Homo habilis. They were able man, handy man, they were tool makers, and they were present around 2 million years ago in Pleistocene. The cranial capacity of these organisms were also seen. The cranial capacity, that means the capacity of the brain, was 500 cc. Homo habilis had 650 to 800 cc. Okay, that's important, you have to learn that. Homo erectus were the one which had erect posture. If you have seen the first picture, which I always put here, you can see there is a bend in the vertebral column, but then it gets completely erect. Yes, so that's one trend of evolution, that early ancestors, they didn't have the curve in the vertebral column, later they formed. So Homo erectus was the first one who had a very erect vertebral column. Okay, and they were present around 1.5 million years ago on Earth and had a cranial capacity of 900 cc. From Homo erectus arrived Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens, they were of around two types when they evolved. One were Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, known as Neanderthal man, and Cro-Magnon. Homo sapiens fossilis. This is Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, known as Neanderthal man, because they were found in Neanderthal Valley, Germany, and these are Homo sapien fossilis. They were present around in the late Pleistocene, around 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago, and fossilis, they came in the Holocene around 34,000 years ago, and they had the maximum cranial capacity of 1650 cc. They had a cranial capacity of 1400 cc, and then they went out, they vanished. Okay, and then it gave rise to Homo sapiens, which are we, modern man, around 10,000 years ago in Holocene, and we have a cranial capacity of 1600 cc. It is said that when Homo sapiens arrived, Ice Age was going on. Ice Age was going on. Right. Now, this is a sequence. Now, let's talk about each and every ancestor one by one. Okay. All right. If you'll draw this in your copy, now, the human evolution will be very, very simple for you. I tell you. Okay, one more thing. Now, one trend that you can see is changing in the cranial capacity, right? So, why did we put all these fossils in this manner? First, obviously, radioactive dating we have done, and we have seen that which one came in which era. Okay. And second, increased cranial capacity was another factor why we put them into this sequence. You can see the cranial capacity gradually is increasing, with this one exception only, right? So increase in cranial capacity was the one reason why we have put them in this sequence. All right. Okay. So let's talk about them one by one. First we have is prior to ape man, Dryopithecus. Dryopithecus was present around 15 to 20 million years ago, and they were hairy and walk like gorillas. This is Dryopithecus. You can see a lot of hair on the body, and they're walking like gorillas. Okay, and they were more ape-like. If we compare Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus, Ramapithecus appear more like a man, but this one they appear more like the ape. Compare both of them. If I ask you which one look more like a man, what will you say? Ramapithecus. Okay. Then their fossils were found in Ethiopia and Tanzania. So from where did we got their fossil? From Ethiopia and Tanzania. But Ramapithecus, we got them from Shivalik Hills in India. Okay, and Ramapithecus, as I've told you, they were on the direct ancestral line for human evolution. Nor Kenya nor Siva, but Rama were the fittest one, and they further gave rise to the next ape man, that was Australopithecus. Australopithecus fossil was found in the Africa, because it is supposed that they used to live in East African grassland. Now you must be thinking, ma'am, then why they are known as Australopithecus? Weren't they live in, they were not living in Australia? No. Australo means southern hemisphere. So they were present in the southern side of the Africa. Okay. They were not taller than 4 feet. So the height was very short, and they can walk a little upright because they have one curve in the vertebral column. Now I am the fully developed Homo sapien. I have 2 curves in my vertebral column. One is a cervical curve, another is a lumbar curve. We have 2 curves we obtain later on. So one curve is present here, the lumbar curve. Okay, so that's why they can move from this to little this. Okay, now they are man-like primates, so appear more like man because they're getting upright posture. So they were of various types. They have a lot of species further, like Australopithecus africanus, Australopithecus robustus. Robustus ended blindly. That means they vanish away. They didn't give rise to any further organisms. Rather, Africanus further gave rise to Homo habilis, the next one. Okay. And the Africanus fossil was found in the form of a baby's fossil in the Tuong Valley of Africa. So we call that fossil as Tuong baby. Right. Then comes the Homo habilis. Homo habilis is having a lot of names. Able man, handy man, skillful man, or a tool maker, because they were the first organisms in human evolution who can make some tools, who have skill. They were able to make something. So that's why they were able man, handy man, skillful man. Right now, no ancestor was eating flesh. All were eating fruit. So habilis was also a fruit eater. Australopithecus was also a fruit eater. Rama and Dryo, they were also fruit eaters. Okay, but they were the first like human. So that's why you call it as Homo sapiens. Sorry, Homo habilis. Homo word means human. They were the first one who could look like human a little. So you can see this one is the Australopithecus, very happy, and this one is the tool maker. Then he is making tool with the stones. Okay, doing work, because this one is not doing any work, so this person is very happy. So this has started doing some work, and now he realized I have done something stupid. Right. Anyways, now they also hunted with stone weapons because they had tools, so they can hunt animals, right? Then comes the next one, Homo erectus. You can see its posture, erect posture. So erect man, also known as erect man. Why? Because this organism have the erect posture. Because it have two curves, both the curves, the lumbar and the cervical curve. And they knew the use of fire. Habilis knew how to make tools. They knew now how to use fire, and by the use of fire they can move away a lot of wild animals that were a threat to them. Okay, because animals are afraid of fire. Now they further evolved into Homo erectus, Homo erectus pekinensis, and Homo erectus heidelbergman. Homo erectus the fossils of Homo erectus was found in the Java island. They were found in the Java island. It's in the Indonesia. Fine. Moving further, we have Homo sapien. Homo sapiens, further they evolved into Neanderthalensis, Neanderthal man, Cro-Magnon, which gave rise to the Homo sapiens. Okay. Now let's talk about Neanderthalensis. First of all, Neanderthalensis, they lived in Near East and Central Asia. It is said that we have Africa here, we have Asia here. Okay, so it is said that there is one theory which says that the man evolved in Africa, and from Africa it started migrating towards Asia. So this is one theory. So how did they give this theory? On the basis of the fossils they found, because all the fossils, early fossils, they were in the, except the Ramapithecus, they were found in the Africa. Australopithecus was in Africa. Homo habilis was also in Africa. The Dryopithecus was also in Africa. So now the Neanderthal, they found that in Central Asia. So it is said that somewhere it is believed that during human evolution, the evolution emerged from the Africa and moved out to the other places. Then, because I have told you, Homo sapiens arrived during Ice Age, and the first one to form was Neanderthalensis around 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago. They were living on the planet Earth, right? And they were living around 34,000 years ago, and they were living around 10,000 years ago. Okay, so that means this time there was more cold climatic condition. So they started covering their body. Until unless no one was covering the body, but Neanderthal, they cover their body with the hides. You will not use the word clothes. Clothes are something which are made up of fabrics, but hides are made up of animal skin or the plants. Because the climatic conditions were harsh, they started covering themselves. Then how do they look like? They had short stature, they were short height with the heavy eyebrows. They have very heavy eyebrows, retreating forehead. Forehead was small and moved backward. They have a very large and protruding jaw, which is known as prognathus. Prognathus jaw means large protruding jaw. Right now, every ancestor had a protruding jaw. You can see, yes, protruding jaw. Opposite to that is orthognathes jaw, that means flat jaw right now that we have. Okay, that these one with the 1650 cc cranial capacity gave rise to Homo sapiens sapiens with 1600 cc cranial capacity. So they it is said that Homo sapien, they appeared around this much age, which is around 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. In between this, all these appears one by one. Okay, and then you can also see the prehistoric cave art of Homo sapiens sapiens. Like one historic cave art is found in the recently in Madhya Pradesh caves, which is Bhimbetka caves, right? So prehistoric cave art developed around 18,000 years ago. One such cave painting by prehistoric human can be seen at Bhimbetka rock shelter in Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh. So these are the proof. Yes, someone has made those paintings so many years ago. That means there were some people who are hunting on horses, right? Okay. Moving further to some previous year question. Which of the following statement is correct about the origin and evolution of men? Neanderthal men lived in Asia between 1 lakh and 40,000 years back. Agriculture came around 50,000 years back. The Drypithecus and Ramapithecus primates exist 15 million years ago, walked like men. Homo habilis probably ate meat. Okay. So you have to find the correct one, right? So Neanderthal, yes, they came around 1 lakh to 40,000 years back, but agriculture is 10,000 years old, right? So that's the incorrect statement. Drypithecus, they walk like gorillas. And Homo habilis did not eat meat, they ate fruit. The meat eaters were your erectus. Okay, so the correct one is first. Next question. The chronological order of human evolution from early to the recent is. So first of all, we had Ramapithecus. All right. So this is wrong. First of all, we had Ramapithecus. Then we had Australo. Then we have Homo habilis. Then erectus. So technically, B is the correct one. Okay. Next. Which of the following had the smallest brain capacity or the cranial capacity? Habilis had the cranial capacity of 650 to 800 cc. Sapiens had the capacity of 1600 cc. If we take the Neanderthals, which is also given separately, they had the capacity of 1400 cc. Erectus had the capacity of 900 cc. So answer is A. Even if you don't remember the cranial capacity, remember which one came first. Habilis was the first, then erectus came, then the Neanderthal, then sapien. Even then you can solve this question because we place them on the basis of the increased cranial capacity trend. Next, what was the most significant trend in the evolution of modern man from its ancestor? Increased cranial capacity, upright posture, shortening of jaws, binocular vision. Just right now we have discussed in previous question, the increased cranial capacity was the only feature. On the basis we have put them in that trend. Next. Thank you. So that's it about the evolution chapter. Please go through the NCERT nicely. We have covered almost all previous year question. But make sure after you have completed the entire chapter, you should also go through the practice question and previous question one more time. Or you can also pick the same question which I have made you solve. But make sure you definitely read the NCERT, make good notes and solve previous year question. I'll meet you in the next class. We'll start with another chapter. Bye-bye. Take care.